Welcome, everybody. We are back in the Leadership Lounge, where we embark on a journey for better leadership. Say it every week. It is not about arrival. There is no destination. It is just about the evolution of our leadership to better serve the people and to get to that shared vision. Today, we have a special guest, my
Huh.
partner in this work. I'm so excited to have him here. We iron sharpens iron. We have Meiyoko Taylor. He is an emotional intelligence strategist. And I'm going to invite him to speak a little bit about his business. Miyoko,
Hey, welcome, welcome. Thank you for having me. Like we
of
don't
course.
talk all the time, but thank you for having me. Just a little bit about my business. Just a little bit about my journey. I've been in the coaching consulting industry probably for over 20 years. Been an entrepreneur, started out in the insurance profession, wanted to help people. Father was a pastor, so that mind and that concept of serving and helping others was kind of embedded in me since I was a child. So started the entrepreneurial journey, got really fascinated with personal development and just human excellence as a whole. And what I would find is each level I would go into particular levels of success, it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was, right? And you'll get to why I'm explaining this when it comes to my business in a second. It wasn't as fulfilling. So as I would hit these peaks in performance and things of that nature, I would notice that the things that I should have been doing for myself that really defined me as a person were actually missing. And I had indicators all throughout the journey, and those indicators were emotions. Those particular signals going off, whether it was frustration, anger, fear, excitement, all these things I would ignore because on the outside, people were telling me, this is what you should be concerned about. This is what makes you successful. So the name of my business is Legacy Trailblazers LLC. That's the parent company of it. But my own personal brand is myself. And what I'm really passionate about is teaching people emotional performance because a lot of people focus on the intelligence aspect of it, which is merely internal. But these internal things are very, very much responsible of how much success you have in sales, how much success you have in managing your teams, how much success you have in really fully knowing who you are and what you represent, your relationships at home with your spouse, your children, family members. It's a core component of everything that we do in life. And that's what I'm passionate about. That's one of the reasons why I joined forces with you because you're so brilliant at different aspects of emotional intelligence. And I'm just excited to be here and, potentially let's, enlighten the audience and give them a perspective that they never had when it comes to EQ.
I'll echo the point. That is why our synergy was just so present because we both do all of this work, but Miyoko really focuses on the performance aspect of it. And my jam is focusing on that being part, that alignment part. And together we just make a lot of magic and we're able to challenge each other, push each other. And we really need that in this work. And that's why we're bringing it to the audience here in this
Right.
podcast. So, our two-part series is called Presence and Performance. And this first
Mhm.
episode is being before doing. And part two is going to be doing in the being. So, super excited to jump in today. So, without further ado, I got a question for you. Question: a lot of folks, right, in this work that we do, I know you've seen it because we've talked about it. Folks get straight to doing. What are the action
Mhm.
steps? What do I need to do? And what we see less is who do I need to be, and then start to focus on what do I need to do. Now, I have my own theory, but I
Mhm.
would like to hear what are your thoughts? Why do you think we're so gung ho on getting to work?
I feel like most people are strategy based. It's always, all right, what's the next process? What's the next step? What's the system or the course or the formula to actually getting the result that I want? And the problem is they never really ask themselves, what is the result that I really want? It's usually based on a perception of what they should have, not really what they want. And what I mean by that is when you're looking at results from any team, any business, even in any personal situation, we do not stop. And you may have seen this yourself. I'll ask my clients, one of the first things I ask them is, what do you want? Like, what do you want? And you know what most of them tell me? You know what? I haven't asked myself that in 7 years.
Hmm.
Now, these are founders. These are very successful people on the outside. Looks like they have everything. Everything is going well. And in 7 years, they have not asked themselves, what do they really want? So strategy is really, to me, in my opinion, and you can kind of collaborate with me on this. Strategy is meaningless if you're
Hmm.
not sure about what you want, how you want to articulate it, and what that actually means to you. And this is why teams may have uh, good metrics from a numbers perspective when it comes to business and growing teams and things like that. But when they get home, they bring the frustration, they bring all the things. It's like this vicious cycle. So nobody's really addressing the internal aspect of who they really are, what they really want. So it's no point in going into the strategy. What point is having a strategy to get a result that's not completely aligned with who they are and what they really want? And that's why being is so important. That's the first place you have to start.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback there because I totally agree. We tend to get right to strategy because I think that um in many cases it doesn't feel good all the time to address the inner work. And then but I can control what I'm doing, right? I can control the actions
Right,
I
right,
and
right.
and a lot of the things like our lived experiences and things like that, we may have had less power over. And I don't think that we've necessarily been taught or conditioned to marry those two things. I think we've been taught and conditioned
I
that
agree.
feelings stay out of the workplace, right? Emotions stay out of the workplace. And here you come to do work. But we found, I know we've spoken about how much emotions drive how folks show up and drive what
Uh,
people are able to produce. And so that's why I have this in my framework. We've spoken about it in my framework. I don't just have leadership competencies, right? Because that's what the leader is doing. I
mhm.
also have leadership characteristics because I need you to understand who must the leader be in order to do these things.
Right, right.
And we don't get into that often in general leadership development space. I get into work is what we tend to do first. What do you think are the barriers?
I think in dealing with this, I think there's no emotion in strategy.
Hmm.
See, as a leader, if you're really working on yourself, there are emotions and internal things you have to deal with as a leader. But when you're doing strategy, it's really no emotion tied to it. It's more tactical. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, here's a strategy. Here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. But nobody's really addressing how well you're going to be able to carry out these particular things based on how you feel, based on what you're thinking, based on your perception. And it's so much easier to take that road, that pathway. Because once you
Yeah.
start talking about emotions and how you feel, now you have to sit with that. Now it's a different type of process. And when it comes to our emotions and how we feel about ourselves, and when we look in the mirror, that's not the easiest thing in most cases. So strategy's easy. I mean, we can talk to people right now and give them plenty of strategies, plenty of strategic things to do. But when it comes to, are you really happy? Where are your emotions at when you go into the workplace? Are you carrying emotions from home into the workplace? How is it affecting your performance overall? These are things that a lot of people don't want to think about, but they need to be thinking about. And that's what being is about, being, because you want to be present. A lot of people are at work, but their mind is at home. Their
Yes.
mind and their heart is at home, focused on something that happened the night before or something that's just going on in their life. And because we're not really being emotionally in tune and self aware of these particular things, then it's going to affect your overall performance. Like you cannot separate the two. Often been under this whole spiel that, oh, you got to separate business from personal and things like that. But is it really separate? And the majority of human beings, if they leave their house frustrated, stressed, upset, they are taking that energy into the workplace. I can almost guarantee you.
Even if they
Strategy
don't
is
think they
easy,
are.
even if they don't think they are, right? Because that's not how our brain functions. That's not
Yeah.
how our behavior functions. I can tell you right now that I'm fine, but if I'm not, my actions are going to tell you otherwise. So this is a very, very big problem, especially in the professional workforce, because emotions is something that's not really dealt with. It's very, very
Yeah.
surface level. Teamwork, team building, leadership developments, very, very surface level. But it's not like, okay, all right, what are your internal emotional dynamics? What's going on with you? How do you feel? What do you want? Is this in alignment with your success metrics on what success really is to you? Because if that person is centered in that particular way, just imagine what type of culture they'll bring to the team, to the workplace. It's the same energy. So I think being that strategy is not tied to how I really feel or what I really want, that's just the easier route most people go. And then you have this problem. Nobody's addressing emotions. Nobody's addressing how people are feeling. And like I said when we first started, emotions are like signals.
Mhm.
They're telling you either things are right Either you're too comfortable and you have to push forward, something's wrong, this is something to be excited about. And I think we shy away from what we call the negative emotions, frustration,
Right.
anger, and dissatisfaction because they don't feel good, but they're telling us something.
You're telling
They're
me
telling
something.
you something about you, about the environment that you're in your daily life. And I think it's something that we can't ignore anymore.
And that's why I'm really happy you brought that point up because I often say unexamined emotions in leaders don't disappear, they leak. Right? And
Mm,
I say that
right.
because it's like we think that we've suppressed or pushed it aside, but they're coming out in other places.
Yes.
And when we're not cognizant and intentional about that, they come out in ways we may not intend or
Mhm.
ways that negatively impact the work that we're trying to do. You can have the most brilliant people on your team, and it's the people dynamics that sometimes most times get in the way of the performance because we're so married to trying to divorce feelings from
Yes. Yes.
work. And we put so much energy into that that is taken away from, right, what we could be doing. And I often say nothing is wasted.
No.
Everything is useful. So when you said even the negative emotions are signals, yes. And even they can be utilized if we're intentional about it and stop trying to suppress it. Hey, okay, this feeling is coming up. What does this really mean? How can I use this to connect with my team? They're probably feeling it too. And me walking in pretending like everything is cool makes me feel makes me appear to be out of touch.
Right.
When really I want to be optimistic for my team, but there's an opportunity there to use those emotions to make a connection.
You said something really important. You said understanding, right? And I think people here's a major problem what we do as human beings. We react to emotions before we understand them. And I think that's the big thing. Like it's like I'm
Mhm,
angry, boom, I'm
mhm,
reacting. I'm frustrated, I'm reacting. They're getting fired. I'm going to fire them because I'm frustrated. They've been doing this over and over again. Their history. We react instead of understanding. All right, why is their performance down? What's really going on with them? The emotional aspect of it was never even talked about. You're not emotionally or self-aware enough to say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe something else is going on. Why am I really frustrated? Was it really Jim or is it something going on in my life that I'm dissatisfied with?" You know? So these are topics that most people in leadership, they do not want to talk about. I can personally attest, and I'm not going to drop any names. I can personally attest of leaders and founders that I know that have let people go. And part of it was because it was a situation heightened in them that they allowed to spill into the
mm.
workplace. And they really could have handled that differently. That's how important this stuff is.
It really is important. And you bring up a point that I know we've discussed before where I say ego is our first voice.
Hmm.
And when we talk about, right, presence and performance, ego typically isn't a present thing, right? It's not a
Right.
present thing. I say ego lives in the past or it lives in the future. It's trying to defend or it's trying to prove. So ego speaking for us in most cases ain't gonna get us to where we trying to go, right? So
Yeah,
when I
that's
let ego driver's seat, it's bound to do some damage, whether that damage is visible today,
mhm,
immediately, or that damage is shown over time.
right,
And again, everything is useful, nothing gets wasted. Ego is not a bad thing. You just need to know how to interact with ego. Ego can't be the thing driving.
right,
Ego, with those emotions and everything else, is a contributor to how do we move forward, but it
right.
can't be in a driver's seat. And we let it go in a driver's seat.
Everything is an indicator, and I think that's what we have to really understand as human beings, as business professionals, as leaders. Everything is an indicator of something else. You just
Mhm.
have to determine exactly what is this indicating? What is it telling you? And emotions is that sensitive topic that most people don't want to talk about. Because to be honest, most people emotions can be so strong it may cause you to participate in a behavior. And then after it's done, it's just like, I really could have handled that better. And not a lot of people are teaching that part of emotional intelligence. They're teaching, oh, how to function with your team and things like that. But nobody's talking about how your team is feeling.
Yeah.
How does your team feel? As a leader, that should be something that you are taking inventory of, periodically checking up on your teams, whether it's weekly meetings or whatnot. It's they will perform better if their overall aspect and their emotional state and everything is centered. And I just feel like it's something that we're not really focusing on. And this is why companies are year in and year out, they're hiring people for emotional intelligence workshops and things like that. But they're not really getting the results that they want because they're not covering the areas that they need to.
No, and then, like I often say, it's not an event, right? You can't have
Right.
the emotional intelligence workshop and then think that everything's supposed to run smooth.
Right.
It's an intentional practice. It has to be embedded in the work that you do, ongoing, right? It's not something that you learn and just apply and you're done, right? Because we do this work
Right.
and we help build each other, right? That's how we've connected.
Absolutely.
We're in this work and we still get to push each other.
So
Still get to,
I'm gonna ask you a
yeah,
question.
fun.
So why do you feel that it is so hard, no matter how successful, right? Why do you feel it's so hard for someone to work on themselves?
I think there's 2 reasons.
Okay.
1, we've been conditioned to what productive looks like.
Okay. Okay.
And the way that we've been conditioned productive looks like is being able to do something for somebody else.
Mhm.
Right? That's been our productivity, especially black and brown folks. Right? Our worth has been tied up in what we can produce for other
Right.
people.
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
So I think that that's one. And I think the other is we just don't know how. And because we've never been taught. And then it compounds with that lack of productivity. Why would I spend time on something I don't know how to do
Mhm.
when I can get out and prove my worth this way? So I think that's why it's so important the work that we do is because we have to really be taught. So A, you have to know the value in this
Mhm. Mhm.
and then understand how to do it. So right now it's not valued. So that's why if I do, it's a trending topic, right? Emotional intelligence. I'll throw some dollars at it, have a coach
Right.
come in,
Right.
or you will do the development. But at the end of the day, when we're under time crunch or those results aren't looking too high, we put that back on the back burner. So even our actions show that it's less valuable, right? We don't have time for that in the meeting. We do have time to talk about why this is not looking like this,
Mhm.
but we don't have time to talk about how you feel or how that might be impacting. Because at the end of the day, what I need you to do is perform.
Right, right. But the crazy part about that is after all that's said and done, when the sales numbers are down, right? When everything is going chaotic, they go right back to this.
Or like you said earlier, they let folks go.
Yeah, or they fire 'em.
Maybe you're just not a culture fit, right?
Right,
Here we grind. We grind here. So if
right.
that's not
Yep,
what you about, you got to go.
you gotta
So
go.
that's what contributes to our ongoing retention problems in organizations.
Right,
Because once I don't see what I want, then I get somebody else and I get really excited about this person that we're bringing in now. Oh, this is going to be the person. And then we fall into the same cycle. Because like you
right,
said, if you're not doing this work, you're going to fall into the same cycle.
right,
Even if you're successful at first, even
right,
if you hit success quickly, you're going to find out, right? You're going to find out that things are going to plateau or plummet when you're not intentional about doing this part.
right.
So, how do you get, because you've found success in this, how
Uh-huh.
do you get CEOs and founders, C suite folks on board when this is not the language that typically sounds sexy to them?
Right. So, without getting into performance, I'm gonna make this quick. So, what I've learned about people, people don't want to be more emotionally intelligent. Now hear me out what I want to say. They do, but they don't.
Mhm.
People don't want to be more emotionally intelligent. They want their marriage to be better. People don't want to be more emotionally intelligent. They want to earn more income and be able to have a nice cohesive energy in their culture and their teams, right? People don't want to be emotionally intelligent, but they want to have the discipline to eat the right foods or choose what's best for their body and discipline themselves and not be emotional eaters, right? The reason why I'm saying all this stuff is they want to be emotionally intelligent, but that's not what moves their mental needle for them.
Right.
What moves the mental needle is okay, and I'll use this as an example, buddy of mine, excellent, excellent founder, makes good money, family guy, came to me and was just like, listen, he said, never talked to you about this. But he's like, God told me to talk to you. And I was like, okay, all right. Okay. You brought God in it. Okay. And it was about the relationship with his wife. And because we talked and I was telling him about particular things, he went back to his wife and his wife told him that everything you said to me, he came back, he said, Miyoko, everything you said to me about my wife, not even knowing my wife, she said it verbatim about how she felt. how she felt about me, how she felt about everything. He said, "How the heck did you do that?" And I said, "Emotional intelligence." And then I got his attention. So I'm saying this to say what's allowed me to be successful is I focus on what result people really want in their life. I don't go around saying, "Hey, I'm just an EQ performance strategist, emotional intelligence expert." What is it that you want? Okay, great. I'm going to show you how your emotions have been standing in your way, and I'm going to show you how to utilize your emotions to better improve your situation so that you can be. And when I say emotional mastery, I don't want people to get it misconstrued. It's just not like I'm at the point where I don't have emotional ups and downs. The mastery is in how to process them and how to make the best informed decision based on your emotions. So that's all I've been teaching him how to do. Life has completely turned around for him. He's learned things about himself, how his own self identity, his relationships are better with his children. He's better in his business. So I don't lead with just emotional intelligence. What's the outcome that you want to have? And then I'm going to show you how mastering your emotions is going to get you there. So now they're like, okay. I'll listen to you now because you've honed in on what I really want, especially for men, us guys, we're hard headed. We hear emotions and it's just like, but when you articulate in a way where it's just like everybody has them, man. So I'm gonna show you what emotions are. When these emotions come up, what questions to ask yourself. And then you make the best decision, not emotional decision, but the best decision for the overall situation. And he started to learn that. And this is what my other clients do. Then it's just like, man, yo, I become a better salesperson.
Mhm.
I have better conversations with somebody than when I'm on the phone booking a call. I'm having better conversations with my wife or my husband. Me and my kids' relationship is great. Man, I'm making healthier choices what I put in my mouth, what I eat, because they start to
It
see like, man, this is a navigator for everything.
Yeah, that's a great word for a navigator. And I think that I it was so disalarming the way that you were able to like, what is it that you want? But first, folks gotta sit down and say,
Right.
what is it that right? Like that's how you started this conversation in the beginning. When you asked me the question, why do you think this is? And I said that our worth has been so tied up in what we can do for other people.
Mhm.
We don't even know what we want. The leaders who are listening understand how do you go about this for yourself? And then how do I go about this for my team? To
Three very simple questions. What is it that you need? And then they'll ask me like, what do you mean, what do I need? Not professional. We're not going there yet. What do you need? And then I get this stare. Man, so what do you need? What do you want? And what is it going to take to get there? Those are the only three questions I ask anybody in the beginning. This probably takes up more time than any strategy or anything we implement ever
uh,
because and I'm going to show you why. And it's very emotionally triggering and psychologically triggering because, one, remember, they haven't thought about what they wanted in a long time. What you want and what you need is not the same. What do you really need? If you figure out what you really need, what you want may change because what you want may be, like we were talking about, based on somebody else's opinion of what success
right.
is. So you may not really want that after you determine what it is that you really need for yourself. Then it's just like, oh, I really need this. This is what I want and this is what it's going to take to get there. All three of these questions basically are basing identity. They're starting to shape. They're starting to force you to start thinking about who you are, what you really want, what's passionate about, what your values are, what your principles are. So I spend a lot of time on these three questions. Now, the cool part about it is when they come back, it's just like, man, I've been thinking about them questions. Man, Miyoko, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I need. I'm a little bit shaky on how to get there, but it feels so good to know what I want and what I need. I finally feel like I know and I'm in touch with who I am now. That's when it's really cool because it's almost you
Mhm.
can kind of feel them like, man, I'm back to myself. So from that particular perspective, now we can say, okay, these are the things that you want for yourself. Now, how does this translate into work? Then they're like, I see why you told me to do that. What do I want out of my team? What does my team need? Notice I didn't say what they needed as a leader. What
Right.
does my team need
Right.
versus what I want to accomplish with them as a team? So now you're not just so focused on yourself as a leader. Now you're showing them we're in this together. We're really a team. I'm in this with you now. So what do they need? And then you come together in a cohesive energy and say, all right, what is it going to take for us to get there? Not you, team, us, because we are a unit. And once you start doing that, I mean, revenue increases, culture just changes. Like you literally see the energy, you can feel the energy change.
Super powerful questions, right? And if And if there's a listener like Shanisha, right? And you may ask me, what is it that you need? And I said, I don't know, right? How do you guide me into thinking about what it is that I need? Because like you said, so many of us just haven't even we don't have practice with doing that. How do I how do you help me start to process or discover for myself what it is that I need?
Good question, and I'm glad you asked. This is why I love working with her, ladies and gentlemen, because she's always most people are not going to ask me these questions. Very, very good question. So, somebody that's struggling with all three of those questions lets me know one very important thing that I need to focus on. You've forgotten what's important to you. So the next
Yes.
question I'm going to ask them, okay, so you're not really sure what's really important to you, and I really want you to think about that because 9 times out of 10, most people know what's important to them, but they've been trapped in the everyday humdrum of life so much that what's important to them has gone from here all the way down here until somebody asks them the question. Now they're looking down here. Wow, let me bring that back up. This is what's important to me. And then now, once you figure out what's important to you, now the other three questions will start to make more sense.
Can I tell you the imagery that you just provided when you said people have been trapped?
Yep.
What? That is
Yep.
so astoundingly accurate. People have been
It's
trapped. We have been trapped into this performative
mm-hmm.
space that is void of us and
Yep.
our needs. But then we get so angry when people don't meet our needs.
Right.
We get so
Right.
frustrated.
But here's the thing, and I want everybody to catch what I'm about to say because it's very, very important. We don't forget what's important to us. Most of us don't forget it. We neglect it or we disregard it.
Oof.
We don't forget it. We don't forget it. We
Right.
know it. I haven't met anybody in this world. If I ask them what's important to you, they don't have some type of answer. It's usually like, what's important to me doesn't matter. I got all these roles and responsibilities. So it's either neglected or it's disregarded. So you
Mm.
know what's important to you, but you have been taught. I mean, you have been taught that what's important to you is not supposed to be important to you. So because of that mindset,
Right. Unpack that for us, because that's good.
so what's really important to you? You have been conditioned, whether it be by society, whether it be by environment, that what's really the most important thing to you shouldn't be the most important thing to you. And when you think like that, now you start to neglect and disregard what's really important to you. So you're taking on what somebody else seems to be important as important to you, but it's really not. What's important to you has gone down here now. And you battle with that and you struggle with that day in and day out because something inside you is like, this is important. This is important. But no, everybody says this is supposed to be important. Being a father, being a wife, being a mother, being all those things. All right, but what about the part of you that's important? Oh, no, we're going to keep that down there. Nope. I got a team to manage, team to run. I got a business to run. I got this, I got that. And everything's getting pushed down until it
Yeah.
gets to the point. You know what happens? It's like a soda can, right? You're shaking it up. You keep shaking it up. And then the next thing you know, it just bursts. Now it's burnout. Now it's frustration. Now it's fear, all that type of stuff. And you're wondering, like, how the heck did I get here, man? It all goes back to suppressing that. That's where it
And I
all
think
starts.
I hear, because I know these people, right? I hear them in my head saying, "Miyoko, Shanisha, that sounds good." I
Uh-huh.
can
Uh-huh.
understand why you said that, right? But you don't understand. You don't understand
Right. But I'm
my
going
s
through. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
I hear them now saying that.
Right.
I'm hearing all of the buts that are saying, "But that." And all of the reasons in the world why so many other things take priority, which is why I'm so excited that in the next part, you're going to be discussing the performance, how to
Right.
get the things that you want,
Right.
utilizing the being.
You know,
Because
I
this
can't leave you
part,
like that, man. I can't leave you with that statement. I just can't leave you like that. If
come
people are
on,
asking that question, I gotta give them something. I gotta give them
give
something.
them
I
some.
can't leave them. All right. And I'll let you kind of close out because I'll tell you we could talk about this forever.
And we
So
do.
one of the things that we do as human beings, we try to take everything at one time. So my advice to somebody, I know we have lives, we have roles, responsibilities, but you have 5 or 10 minutes out of your day. Everybody does
Mhm.
to do something that works them closer towards where they want to be or what's important to them. Just like you make a sandwich, the whole sandwich isn't made right away. You got the buns, you got the condiments, you got the lettuce, then you got the cheese, you got the pickles, whatever you like on your sandwich. Then you got the meat or whatever, vegan, whatever you do, and then it's the whole sandwich, and then you're able
Yeah.
to consume it one piece at a time.
Hmm.
You don't have to do everything at once, but what you wanna do is build momentum. Create the habit of placing yourself, and this is why I have this shirt today, "Yes is back." Like, saying yes to yourself and starting to say, "What do I need to say yes to today?" It could be something
Oh,
very
that's
small.
good right there.
What's something I can say yes to today? And it could be something very small. It doesn't have to be big. It's the habit of I am choosing me. I'm saying yes to me. And then as you build that habit, I'm telling you, everything is going to start to shift. But it's gradual. It's gradual. It's not right away. It's gradual. So I just had to say something when you said that because I'm
Yeah, I
like,
need you to.
I can't leave them hanging. Can't leave them hanging.
And I'm gonna give you another opportunity, right? I'm gonna say, because you said so much, it was right. There's so much packed into what you were able to offer today. So if you were to leave me with a line, right? If I'm a listener and I fast forwarded to the end, and this thing right here is what I could take with me, what would you say? What are you gonna leave us with?
Wow, you hit me with that one.
Mhm.
Emotions are one of the best educators. Emotions know more about yourself than you do. Listen to them, understand what they're trying to tell you, understand what they're trying to show you, and then you can actually make a logical or an intelligent decision on what action you need to take. They're there to educate you, they're there to warn you, they're there to help you. They're there to aid you. Emotions are your allies, not your enemies. That's what I will leave them with.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, Meiyoko Taylor, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
joining us in the Leadership Lounge. Remember, there's no destination, there's no arrival. It's just a journey to better leadership.
That's the journey.
Let everybody know where they can find you, though.
They can find me on LinkedIn, Meiyoko Taylor. Also on all my social media channels are Meiyoko Taylor. Right now, I got a website that's MiyokoTaylor.com. It's in development because there's a lot of exciting new things, obviously, that we're doing that I want to update, but that's where you can find me. And I'm approachable. I have no admin that goes into my DMs. It's me. So if you contact me, you will get me.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back with part two, where we're focusing on doing in the being. So until then, see you next time.
Right.
Bye.